Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, my mothers, my great, beautiful mothers of the human race. Yes, today, as usual, we usually look at health, your health, on a day like this, being a Sunday. I think it's the 26th of January 2026. So today is among those days that, yes, we have covered, is it 26 days into our, what you call tawaf, Mother Planet Earth doing her tawaf around the sun, the Shams, the sun in the sky. So with that, I would remind my mothers of the human race that you are all Muslims, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of the latitude or longitude of this planet where you are. Your religion is Islam. If you're to lift your eyes, if you can, many of you have some of you became blind because your beliefs told you that you are Christians. But if you are able to look at whatever you see, that there are clouds in the sky, what you see as clouds in the sky, that is the what you call a noble, holy, living Quran, noble, holy, practical, or noble, holy, practical, living, visual Quran, words of the Holy Quran, of which they say to you, yes, it's the Quran which is embroidered on Mother Planet Earth as a blanket of life and wealth and beauty. As mothers, you would know very well that whenever you wake up, you wash your face, you wash your children's faces, to make sure that, yes, life is beautiful. When you do such good things, when you wake up in the morning and you rush and clean your face and as well as your children's faces, do you know what that means? Yes, life is beautiful. Life is the same way you do that, is the same way you have to apply your celestial obligation on a Zoom visual interpretation in your own whatever. Because when you became pregnant as a mother, you were taken on a journey that no man has ever told you about, because nobody knew that journey, the marathon. We've got some girls who run the marathon from Ethiopia, Kenya. Yes, sometimes they do the marathon. But what I tell you, the marathon of the 8 galaxies, you do go that marathon as every mother that has ever carried a creation in her womb for 9 months. That marathon is very, very good and very, very pure, and it requires you as Muslim creations, you Muslim whole and female creations, that celestial obligation that is required of you when you give birth is to keep that region of Islam clean. That which you apply, because you wouldn't leave your children in urinated pants or whatever, pampers and whatever. You have to clean them when they are unable to do that themselves. The same way, that responsibility, I told you at one given time when I was interpreting my ayahs, that when you are running the marathon, which is a 24-hour non-stop interaction with the celestial 8 galaxies, or the 8 galaxies in which we saw that you have to visit in the 8 galaxies, you have to visit every solar system. And each solar system has different gravity, whatever, different time zone, and everything there is different. However, one very, very, very great common and great absolute divine holy decree of Allah is that He takes you on that journey, on that marathon, at 200,000 kilometers per second, in order that those beings who live in those 8 galaxies in Asia and every solar system, to say to you that Akbar, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Akbar ahad akbar. Allahu akbar. Allahu akbar. Allahu akbar. Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah. In that, they do. In that, when you do that, when you visit the solar system as a mother, while a creation is warm, they give that creation a point. The same way you run in a marathon on the planet Earth, you get a point. You get a point to see those who manage, who kind of say, yeah, she came through here, she came through. So that way, the point you get is a mapping, what you call a mapping of the radius. In fact, when a child is being, a creation is being created in a mother's womb, there is a mapping on the whatever, which is Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. And also there is a mapping on the area of a radius up to 15 kilometers. Because in the old days, when mothers got pregnant, there were no supermarkets. So a point when you get a salam in one of the galaxies in the solar system, somewhere in the galaxy, 8 galaxies, they will kind of throw something down when you go back to the planet Earth, and they'll tell you, using that whatever, the mapping of the 15 radius, and then you take you where you pick fruits in order to feed to feed yourself, because you've been on a very hard marathon, a hard journey. So you pick a fruit, and then you eat them, and then you continue the journey the next day of what we call, when you are being kind of mapping of the creation in your home, so that she or he or the child is familiar when they're born, a little bit familiar with the environment. When they open their eyes, look at the sky, they are not hurt or whatever, something like that. So that way, this obligation, of a celestial obligation for you mothers, is to make sure that your children do not provoke the anger of Allah. They do not go over what you call the boundaries. And you mothers do not consume alcohol. Do not, because if you imagine you're a mother and you are under a state of alcohol inside you. These are children which are, if your mother is an alcoholic, unfortunately, and she becomes pregnant, the likeliness that child will have a medical disorder, the chances are very, very high. They are more than 100% because any unit of alcohol that a woman consumes never goes anywhere else, straight into the ovaries. That is the reproductive cycle or the reproductive system of a woman. So it removes the lining, the very clean lining, natural, very, very clean lining of the ovaries. And then alcohol that you took as a woman in your teenage years replaces the natural, balanced, clean ovary lining, and it replaces it with a gang of mucus toxins. So when an egg goes into those toxins, it's genetically adulterated, altered. That's when you have children with medical disorders, autism, and so many of them. Some of them are very, very serious medical disorders. Some are hyper. Some children are because in that process that you are, an egg has been genetically altered or damaged, the cells cannot settle. As it is that they did not sit on something clean. They cannot settle. They keep that whatever, and it comes out as illustrating itself as a medical disorder when your children are born. That's when Allah is the greatest and the way the wide, the wisdom of our Creator exceeds that any man or any human brain can understand. Because Allah says, yes, I created you. When I created you, bodies cannot have no mechanism, have no know-how how to process these toxins of what you call alcohol. So don't drink alcohol. That's a direct law from Allah. And when you drink alcohol as a woman, anyway, we won't go through that. What I want to tell you is my mothers. Every one of you little girls or whatever, when you are in your early years, use let your mothers teach you, because whoever he gets across this message, pass it on to one another, so that you learn the responsibility of what it is that you human beings need to know in order to avoid bloodshed in your societies. Bloodshed, human trafficking, desecration of your genetics, and so many things that you men of modern times take you think they are normal daily practices, but they are against they are contradictory to the beauty of life. Some of these practices that you men and women are involved in, economically and social and whatever, they are very, very contradictory to the beauty of life. Where some of you say we are wicked, some of you say, some of you know, it's very, Islam is very beautiful. The only way I can sum this whatever I'm telling you, my children, your creations with a percentage of mental development that you can be able to articulate reasoning accountability to security of your dignities as well as those around in your societies. You imagine you are in a whatever, and you are in a church or whatever, and you take your clothes off and you start dancing naked. Is that because we in mosques we don't do such things. Islam tells you when you go in the mosque as a woman, dress up modestly, in which I showed you what an elephant, the biggest land animal. An elephant is an interpretation of one of the most beautiful ayahs of the Holy Quran. It says to you, cover up, dress modestly, because not only the sun that the rays of the sun can harm you if you are, because the sun is a creation of Allah. It enforces some of these holy divine laws, whether man likes it or not. And Allah puts another whatever in it and say, he is an elephant, the largest animal. And Allah says, in a woman, a female creation, I did explain my beauty of the religion in which I created you through that very large big animal that women were honored by this very most holy beautiful religion by Allah. And I tell them in that interpretation of an elephant, dress up modestly, cover yourself up, so that you are not abused while you are walking, when men see through you as if you are a transparent whatever, X-ray whatever. Cover up and protect your dignities and integrities. Is that too much to ask? It's whichever that I'm interpreting here, Allah did so in the Holy Quran as prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than what? Than cure. As simple as that. Because if you are a 13-year-old girl in the slums of Nairobi, and you're pregnant, or you got pregnant at the age of 12, at 13 you have a child. You have no job, you have no skill, you have no way how to get daily food to feed either your baby or your whatever. And the day you got pregnant, is that because in your country as Kenya, they tell you, oh, here in Kenya we are Christians, you can easily go in the bar and drink whiskey and this and that. So you became pregnant because the poor boy asked you, can I take you in the bar and buy a champagne? So you went on there, whatever, and you went and became, that very evening, the boy infected you with AIDS. You are a 13-year-old girl, you don't have a job, you don't have any skill, you have a son, you have AIDS, you are infected with a virus that kills people who break the law, whereby Allah says, don't drink alcohol, don't engage in practices of sexuality. Don't drink alcohol, don't engage in adultery. Had you been aware of these holy divine laws which says, men and women have prohibited you from the consumption, do not consume alcohol, do not engage in what you call casual sex practices, and do not engage in any sex practices until you are 20 years old. That way you can look and say, yes, I'm educated, I've got a way how I will support my children, how I will support my whatever, my life, how I will look after my parents when they are becoming older. That way, you are at an age where you are able to reason, to look in every direction, and there's protection, there's security. If you apply security yourself, allow multiply that to ensure that you do not get affected by evil things. But if you say you are reckless, you say, I'm a Christian, our pastor says we go to the Bigango Biamu church, and then the says you can sleep with that money, you give your 30 Kenyan shillings or 50 Kenyan shillings, you buy a bottle of beer, and that's the pastor what he says. Your pastors in Kenya, your pastors in Zaire, your pastors in Uganda, in the Bigango church. I just want to tell my mothers, look after children. Try and educate yourself about Islam. Do not, as mothers, ever put any dent on the most holy, beautiful religion, Islam. If you do it in the morning, if you say, I don't like that religion, if you do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, by 4 o'clock, you may require what we call an ambulance to take you to hospital. Either your head is pounding with pain, or you may even crash with what we call a cardiac arrest or brain hemorrhage. As simple as that. So, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's a health review. We are looking at Islam and your health. And on that, we can put that on the other side of what we call the Magin Kata. What does life mean to you as a 15-year-old girl in Kenya or Uganda or anywhere in the world? Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.